To Decades of Horror, the 1970s.
The hand crawls, the hand threatens, the hand lives.
This is episode 123, recorded September 9th, 2020.
Gruesome Magazine.
All right, I am your host, Doc Rodden, and this podcast is about horror films released between 1970 and 1979. Each episode, my co-host Jeff Mohr and I will tackle another classic or not so classic film from this wonderful, groovy, gory, and influential decade. All right, we are here tonight to tackle And Now the Screaming Starts. Yet another Peter Cushing film from the 70s. Happy dance. All right, let me introduce the crew, starting off with the one and only Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing real good. How are you?
Good. Did you enjoy your Amicus trip back to 73?
I did. We kind of been on an Amicus roll, it seems like. Or Amicus like, I don't know. it's you know, it's probably coming your way, but it was like 96 here on Sunday, and now it's 50 as a high. So
yeah. What is it?
I had to give the weather report, you know.
I know. There's all kinds of weird weather we could do if we want to do a weather forecast.
Yeah. The valley fires in California are like 8 miles from my son's house.
Oh no!
Oh, is he okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're okay. It's got to go over the ridge, I guess, or mountain.
Yeah, well, that's what it can do. So be careful.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Also joining us tonight is Bill Mulligan, writer, director, special effects guru, and all around nice guy. Manos Mulligan, how you doing, sir?
Manos. Yeah, I'm doing fine. This is a movie that was new to me. There aren't that many new Peter Cushing movies left to find, so happy to get the chance.
That's kind of cool. All right. Yeah. Also joining us tonight is, and you caught him in the beginning of the show, Chad Hunt, comic artist and co-host of Decades of Horror, the classic era, also known as Stewie Ferngriffen. Stewie, how you doing, sir?
I'm fine, but I could use a hand trying to figure this movie out.
I see what you did there.
Huh?
I hear Jeff's cricket. Can I shoot you now, or do I have to shoot you later? I don't know. All right.
I'm good either way.
Good either way. We're here to talk about And Now the Screaming Starts. This film. I get this one confused. There's another Scream and Scream Again. Just because of the title, I get these two confused.
That would have been a great double feature.
It probably was somewhere. Who knows? And Now the Screaming Starts.
That's got one of your favorite directors too, Bill.
It does. I don't know. The other one.
All right. Old Gordon.
And Now the Screaming Starts is released April 27, 1973, and I could still hear that cricket. Everybody else enjoyed the cricket sing-along. Directors Roy Ward Baker. The writer is Roger Marshall, based on a novel by David Case. The cast includes Peter Cushing, Herbert Lom, Patrick McGee, Stephanie Beacham. Let's all just take a moment to appreciate Stephanie Beacham.
Ooh,
yes.
Nurse.
Ogilvy. Jeffrey, what'd you say? Oh, nurse.
Hello, nurse.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Tagline, in addition to the one that, there goes the cricket.
Oh, no. Jimmy.
The tagline goes, and now the screaming starts, the suspense, the horror, and the drama, and the dead crickets. Synopsis: England, 1975. No, England, 1795. I'm totally distressed about the cricket.
What a world!
Has just married Charles Fengriffen and moved into his castle. She becomes the victim of an old curse that lays on the family. On her wedding night, she is raped by a ghost and gets pregnant.
That's her story, and she's sticking with it.
That last line kind of makes you wonder about this movie. Like, that's where we're going? Okay. Yeah. All right. What we do here is we give our first impressions when we first saw it, and then we discuss the film. And at the end, Jeff might be saying something, but I think he's on mute.
He's talking to the cricket.
He is. He's talking to the cricket, shooting that cricket.
Begging forgiveness.
And then we rattle off for a while. All right, let's just get into it because things are getting weird.
Please, Mr. Mohr, No more. I've had enough. I'll leave.
I gave him a verbal thrashing.
You did. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? Manos Mulligan, I'm going to start with you since this was your first time watch. I want to hear all about it. So tell us when.
My first experience with it was 2 days ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I told the missus I got a film I got to watch, and we watched it. And great cast. I mean, when they started putting the cast up there, I'm like, oh. I mean, I was happy to see Ian Ogilvy because I got to moderate a panel with him at Monsterama last year.
Wow, nice.
And I think I hadn't seen this movie, so I didn't really ask him a lot about it other than working with Peter Cushing and Herbert Lom and how cool that was. He's a very cool guy. Great storyteller. If you ever get a chance to see Ian Ogilvy, he's British. He's a British actor. He's got stories. Ask him about Oliver Reed. He's got an Oliver Reed story. It's like every other Oliver Reed story. You get drunk and punched him in the mouth, but it's an Oliver Reed story. Yeah, he's really fun. So it's got an awesome cast, and I love Stephanie Beacham. I mean, Stephanie Beacham is just she's one of those English. I guess I love almost every English actress. I mean, they're smart.
Kind of seems that way.
Yeah, well, I guess I like a certain type, and I think they choose a certain type. The English actresses, for the most part, they're not portrayed as bimbos. And I like her. I don't know that she was given a whole lot to do in here. It's a long time before I never really once felt like starting screaming. And it takes for bleeping ever, literally at the halfway mark before Peter Cushing shows up.
I know. I almost forgot he was going to be in it.
I totally forgot until they said, I've called for a doctor to come visit. I'm like, yep, that's it. That's the Cushing alert. So, and then Herbert Lom takes even longer to show up. Well, his picture is, I don't know, if one more zoom into his picture and I was about ready to hit the fast forward button. But when he shows up, he's appropriately a dirtbag and everything. So, it's a gothic horror haunted house kind of thing. It's got some twists and turns, and ultimately it's got a really, to me, confusing, morally ambiguous and unpleasant message. It's one of those movies. I don't see the justice in this. The curse on a family. Curse Herbert Lom. He deserves it. Oh, he's awful, terrible. Something bad should have happened to him. But now it's generations later, and we're still going after folks, and I felt kind of bad about that. I don't know who I was supposed to root for here. The heroes,
You gotta be curious. If with this curse, how did they keep the generations going?
Well, it's the next time a virgin bride shows up.
That's right.
She made the big mistake.
Virgin mother.
Okay, so as much as I like Ian Ogilvy, his character, knowing that this curse is like hanging over them, and there's a pretty easy solution to this. I don't want to speak out of school here, but anytime there's a movie like Dragon Slayer where it's like, oh my God, all the virgins are going to be sacrificed to the dragon. I'm a virgin. What can I do? I'm like, really? Really? It's not my business to tell you, but I think there's a easy solution here. But overall, I liked it. I mean, I thought it was well made and everything. I did. Now the screaming starts. A good title. Probably should have been left for a different movie. And I don't know what they were thinking when they tried to use "I have no mouth and I must scream." Because
neither did Harlan Ellison.
Oh well, I think I know what he was thinking. It's like, don't ever try to rip off a guy who's got a lawyer on InstaDial. He just hits the number 7 and it calls up like a bunch of lawyers. That was crazy. But this is fun. I'm glad someone picked it. I don't feel compelled to watch it again, but I had a good time. Okay. Great cast. It's some of my favorite English actors.
Absolutely. All right. Up next is Stewie Fengriffen. Yes. When did you first catch this? What is your first impression of Now the Screaming Starts with hands? With hands.
I didn't see any jazz hands. I was disappointed. But I started to watch it yesterday for the first time. For some reason, I was thinking this was another portmanteau, another anthology film for some reason. So I watching it, I was going, man, this really should have been a segment in an anthology. but within the first 10 minutes, there's a disembodied hand. You guys know I hate that shit.
We do.
I turned it off. I couldn't. I turned it off. I said I'll come back to it later, and of course, I had many vivid dreams about it last night before I started watching it. Yes, I certainly did.
Hands, really?
Yeah, my dreams looked like Bill's background for the most part last night.
No.
And that's just one thing that I really is just disembodied crawling hands. Just oh my god!
What started that?
I have the first thing I ever watched that had that in it. I think was the Hand with Michael Caine.
Yeah,
and I was a young kid, and that just oh my god, that just creeped the hell out of me. And
wasn't he a comic book artist too?
Yeah, and that became like a fear of mine of like, if I lose my hand, I can never draw again, and that kind of thing. And so it just gives me the creeps more than you know. But anyway, this was an okay film. There's too many hands, but
and stumps.
Yeah, a lot of stumps. The baby stumps was kind of hard to look at, and but it was an okay film. It felt like you could have taken 20 minutes off of it. A lot of the scenes were just people walking through gardens and running through forests and that kind of thing. But I did enjoy it. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. Stephanie Beacham, come on. I didn't even know she was in this movie, but I remember watching her on Dynasty and going, she's beautiful, and so it was cool to see her here. And Herbert Lom, he's been in a few of these Asylum movies that we've covered and stuff.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, as far as a Peter Cushing movie, both he and Herbert Lom didn't show up until the end of the movie, basically, and
they were top billed.
Yeah.
Well,
and
of course,
Ian Ogilvy is Charles Fengriffen. I was just angry at him the whole time. I was just, he thought Peter Cushing, and he goes, I thought you got lost. He goes, well, thanks for coming in to look for me. Best line in the whole movie.
That was great.
And so he was just playing that little smart ass kind of a doctor that he likes to do. And then I enjoyed his performance like always. He's cool in it. Herbert Lom just played this disgustingly sleazy guy that deserved everything that came to him. But I'm sort of like with Bill on that. Why is everybody else paying for this? And apparently this just one generation. You had the father.
No.
The father.
I think that was the grandfather.
Yeah.
Was it the grandfather? Yeah. How does something become a legend in two generations? Or
this is there were no TV back then. Not a whole lot to talk about.
Maybe I guess.
Oh, they scratched it off of the family tree.
Exactly.
It was a little confusing.
They did.
They had the actor play his own grandfather.
I'm my own grandpa.
But he's got the same birthmark, which is not how it works. And so it's a little confusing. Is this the same guy? It's like, oh no, it's the grandfather, but he looks not just a little like him. He's exactly like.
Didn't you just know the baby had that same birthmark?
Of course.
And so
spoilers. Sorry.
But it was. I enjoyed watching it. I mean, it wasn't a bad movie. It's just watchable. I mean, I enjoyed it in that way. I did enjoy the end with Peter Cushing and his whole arc there. But it was just okay in my opinion. It wasn't the best wasn't the best asylum film. I'll say that.
No. And you mean Amicus? Is that what you're trying to say?
Amicus, yeah. I'm thinking the movie Asylum. Yeah.
You are. Patrick McGee's in it. He's wonderful, and they get a scene with him and Peter Cushing, although it's just one scene, and then he's done.
Very quick.
Well, you get a couple, I guess, maybe. All right, Jeff Mohr, sir, you're up next. And the God. And the God Mohr. When did you first catch this, and what's your first impression of? And now the screaming starts.
I first saw this a couple years ago, and I actually like this. I know it's kind of a mess, and I know, there's a point somewhere in there where all of a sudden it's a left hand instead of a right hand, strangling somebody.
The Blu-ray's on its way.
Did it happen?
Yes.
I didn't catch that. Oh my gosh.
That's one of the stranglers. Anyway, I don't know why, but I kind of liked it, and I couldn't figure out. It wasn't making sense to me. Like I guess the hand is powered by the curse. It just showed up wherever she went, hiding on the window ledge in plain sight.
It also showed up anytime anybody was going to talk about the curse. If you even mentioned the curse, the hand would show up and strangle.
Okay. Well, anyway, but I kind of liked it. I thought that guy, totally get away from the plot, not being totally connected with no holes. The woodsman, when he was in his full makeup, that guy I thought was creepier than crap. And I did a bit of
nice teeth
jump when that hand came through the picture.
That was a good jump.
And I think actually, Chad, I looked at I looked at the timer on it, and I think the hand shows up at like 6 or 7 minutes. You don't even get 10 minutes into it.
No, I didn't even get a 10-minute reprieve.
Boom, there it is.
And I'm thinking, oh, Chad, should I warn him? No. You should have one good night's sleep beforehand.
And I did not.
Oh, okay.
I honestly
but
didn't
anyway,
know
I kind of liked it. And also, I was ticked off at the Ogilvy's character. What the hell was his name? Charles. Because it was sort of like, he knew. And no matter what his wife said, he just kind of poo-pooed it. You're not going to have to do it. So he was, you're just having a dream. That's not real. I don't know what his problem was. But yeah, like Bill said, all he had to do was, tell her the story. And that gives you a good excuse, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't this his second wife?
I don't know.
Did I remember that? Am I mixing that up with another movie? That it was the second wife? Because
I also like the.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering if he's trying to get rid of the curse. Let it happen.
Unsuccessful.
I was really disturbed by the Herbert Lom scenes, especially when they're telling the story. They're saying, "Oh yeah, he would have the most despicable, degenerated, vile parties and ceremonies." And I'm thinking, then when they go to it, all it is a bunch of drunks,
a bunch of drunk guys who look like nothing. Yes, that was. I noticed that everyone in the Banshee was 100 times more degenerate than any of these folks.
Until he took over, and took him down to the woodsman's house, who was freshly married. That was disgusting. Yeah, he was the lead degenerate. So that disturbed me.
Anytime Herbert Lom asked if you've taken her yet, you say yes. I have already taken her.
Yes.
Oh, you got here 3 minutes too late. I'm sorry. And it's this a common blunder, but like if someone asks, "Are you a god?" you say yes. If someone says, "Have you already enjoyed your wife?" you say yes. Come on, there's only one way this is going, and you should know this. Pick up on the cues, folks.
Absolutely.
The only time you don't is if somebody says, "Did you eat the last biscuit?" You say no.
No, don't eat that.
I never do that. So I'm always, well, we would have some ice cream, but your grandpa ate it all. That's what I always get. So
I'm glad you pointed that out, because I had a big laugh when it's like the biggest, bunch of scum and villainy ever. And you go there and it looks like a Rotary Club meeting.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
Rotary Club.
A little more. But anyway, but yeah, or a bachelor party, right? I mean, they were drinking those big weird, I don't know what you call those glasses, but
right.
Well, they were drinking, so whoever won got the girl. So
she seemed okay with it though. So
for me, it had some disturbing scenes in it, and
she did seem
I'll
okay.
get around all the other stuff. I liked Cushing's hairdo. He was like,
oh yeah,
no, I liked it. All the little curls and everything that sort of like combed forward with curls. That
the Frankenstein, the monster from hell look.
Not quite as bad as that one, but yeah.
But you're right. He got half the movie. Herbert Lom gets like maybe 10 minutes at the end. He's not in it for very long.
But doesn't he have a presence though? Because I mean, you see him first.
Oh yeah.
So you feel like he's in the movie all the way through, even though he's not there.
They spent 10 minutes zooming into that picture over and over again.
Over and over. Yeah. So you're always
that's probably another
scary guy.
Yeah. And Patrick McGee, I thought was suitably weird, like he always is.
Oh yeah. Patrick McGee was great.
But anyway, I liked it. It scared me a little bit, and I thought it was kind of fun. So I probably will watch it again.
So I saw this movie back in the day somewhere along the lines, and I forgot about the hand, even though it's so freaking obvious. I remember the guy in the window with the eyeballs and everything, and but I forgot that Peter Cushing came in so late. I'd forgotten quite a bit about the movie actually, except for the tricked out ending. It's a Peter Cushing film, so it has a special place for me, but. And Herbert Lom gets more screen time here than Michael Gough gets in A Legend of Hell House. Just saying.
Well, sure.
If you ever seen Legend of Hell House and know who Michael Gough plays in that,
Michael Gough.
Michael Gough, is that how you pronounce it?
Here come the letters from England.
Yeah, here they come. Well, if I don't screw up one name, what am I? I'm not doing my job. So I enjoyed this enough. It isn't. I'd rather watch Asylum again or, Dr. Terror's House of Horror if you want to see a good hand movie. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Stewie. Right, Stewie? You like that one? Peter Cushing? No, it's Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee's got the hand, right? Coming after him.
Right.
Yeah. I forgot this was one of the hand films because there aren't really that many, right?
We're going to make them watch them all.
Yeah, we're going to line them up.
I'm writing down The Hand for 1980s.
There you go.
An Invasion of the Saucermen.
Probably our only chance to do Oliver Stone film too.
That's true. So yeah, I mean, what can I say that you guys haven't already said? You watch it for Stephanie Beacham, Peter Cushing. You don't really care about Herbert Lom so much, but Patrick McGee is great in it, like you said. He's just kind of wacky, but not. It's really an understated but interesting performance. The Jeffrey Whitehead, who plays the woodsman and his grandfather Silas, or maybe that's his and the woodsman's the grandfather. I don't know. Doesn't matter. He plays both of them. He's so sarcastic, right? Yeah. He's always, every time it's coming, he's like, "You want me to king out this hand?" Or this one. That's the only time you get your jazz hands. He gets it right. So he's a gas, and but I was wondering what he was doing outside the window all the time. It looked like, what are you doing back there? What are you doing in the bushes there, dude? You got a funny grin on your face, and you're shaking a little too much.
He obviously wasn't brushing his teeth.
No, there was no.
Where do you go?
Nothing.
Where do you go?
Nothing going down there.
Nothing going on.
Nothing going on in the teeth.
But he had the crazy ass smile on his face. It's funny.
Yeah.
It gets a little repetitive, but you guys were talking about because you just the hand kills somebody, the hand kills somebody else, the hand kills somebody else. But you were talking about the family gets cursed, but why did the maid have to get right? So the maid's like going to take the book upstairs, right? And man, she can't get up them steps. She tried, man. She wasn't going to stop.
OSHA needs to look into those stairs, man, because everybody was falling down.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, OSHA. Yeah. Man, it's just like, and then it's like, oh, this guy had an accident. That one had an accident.
What an awful house to have to live in. It's like there's every painting on the wall is the same painting of, you got to look at your dead relatives.
Yeah.
You got this death staircase there. I couldn't really figure out. I didn't realize that this film was taking place in the 1790s. I mean, there's no reason not to think it, but it didn't really occur to me that it was that long ago. It felt like it was a little more recent, except for the fact that on the guy's wedding night, it takes him like a half an hour to get undressed. So it's like, yeah, that's the 1700s. I've never seen a movie where a woman from the Victorian era or whatever, even earlier, took less time to get undressed than the guy did. He's like taking his stuff. Then he hears a scream, and I'm like, oh God, I hope he doesn't have to get dressed now, because he'll be dead by the time he gets there.
Well, Catherine, so this is something my wife and I have noticed, and I think it's actually a thing, but when you watch like British detective series or cop shows, they never do like they get in the car and show them driving and then cut to them arriving somewhere, knocking on the door or something. They always show them driving somewhere. They always show them on the narrow road, driving down the road. There's always, it kind of stretches it out kind of. And so I was thinking about that in this show. And also in the running up and down the stairs, it was like the cinematographer and the director were way too in love with that following shot through the different openings in the balcony and the walkways, because it happened. How many times did we see him run down that hallway? Although I guess what would you call it? Catwalk kind of, and then down the stairs. And then look through different things on the floor. I mean, it was kind of cool a couple times, but after that, it was sort of like, oh, come on. I don't need to see him run down there again. I'm sorry.
There just wasn't enough stories. Most of the time when you have a movie with this setup, there's either the question is she crazy, or is she being driven crazy by her husband, or is there really the supernatural? But it kind of gave it away pretty fast, because I was thinking, oh, this is going to be another one of those, the husband's trying to drive her nuts for whatever reason. But it was pretty obvious, wow, how did he make those candles suddenly go down? So it's pretty obvious early on that there really is something supernatural, or it's entirely in her mind. And that takes a lot of the mystery away. Then I don't need to keep seeing weird things happen to her to establish that weird things are happening to her. We get it. But the good cast, I think, made up for a lot of that.
Well, I think you found out pretty soon,
an okay
too.
Movie.
You found out pretty quick that she wasn't going crazy because the way the staff act.
Right.
So what's the deal here? I can't tell you.
Yeah, they could play on that a little more. Yep. Well, let's talk about the director, because I thought this was directed solidly. It was a very solid film. Of course, Roy Ward Baker is a pretty solid director, right? And cinematographer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is cinematography is what he was also known for, right? Do I have the right one? Maybe I don't have the right
Freddie?
one.
I think you're thinking of Freddie
I
Francis.
am thinking of Freddie Francis. So this is but Scars of Dracula, well, Vampire Lovers, Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde. Come on. Moon Zero 2. There you go.
The Vault of Horror.
The Vault of Horror. Here's a good one. This is the one everyone listening should watch. Well, that too. Quatermass in the Pit.
Yes.
That's man. If that's the only movie on his resume, that's solid, because that's one of my top 10s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he did the anniversary. Is the anniversary? Is that the one with Betty Davis? It is. That's where she has that funny eye patch, right? Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a solid director. I mean, it's just they just look great. Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. Well,
he doesn't have a definable style. I think
he might have shot that one.
I know, but I love that movie.
I do too.
I love that movie for all the
and
wrong
also
reasons.
considering that he had to go to China and work with a crew that probably didn't understand half the words coming out of his mouth. I mean, the fact that it's as good as it is amazing. It's just that compared to someone like Terrence Fisher, where there's a look, there's a consistency that goes from no matter what he's doing. You can say that's a Fisher film. There's just a certain quality that it has there. And I don't really see that with Baker. Maybe I need to watch more of his films. It seems more like the films put an imprint on his directing than the other way around.
Mhm.
But when you look at the films that he worked on, yeah, he's not one of my favorite directors, but then I look at the films he made, and they're some of my favorite films. So I guess in a way he is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
The Monster Club.
Well, the later it gets, the worse they get. But they're all enjoyable for their own reasons. I don't think this is one of his better films, though.
No, not when you put it up next to Quatermass and
Yeah.
even Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires.
Yeah. I keep saying I do the mistake. It's Quatermass, and I keep putting the extra R in there, don't I?
People always say Quatermass.
Yeah, it's Quatermass.
Here comes a letter from Jerry Chandler.
Well, there's about a half a dozen of them that are going to tell me about it.
Step in line, pal.
Yeah. Peter Cushing. What can we say about Peter Cushing? He's just a welcome sight in the film. We've talked about him a lot. We could probably do a year of just talking about Peter Cushing as an actor.
But he still brings something here. Like
absolutely
when he in the scene where he's handing her the baby, and he's tearing up.
Mm-hmm.
So he's bringing something to that, even though he's not there very long. He brings it, just like he always does, and I can't remember the which movie it was where he one of the other Amicus films that he was in, where it wasn't too soon after his wife had passed, or
Tales from the Crypt.
Was it?
Tales
I don't think
from
it was Tales from the Crypt. It was one of the others that we watched. Where I think it was the one where he made the suit for the guy or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Even in there, he was he brought a level of emotion to it that he could have probably have gotten away with not doing, in a movie. But he's always good at that. He's always good at bringing the feeling and bringing the emotion to it. And I guess that's why I kind of like him so much as an actor.
His character is like the voice of reason in this movie.
Yeah.
Everybody else is scared to death. And
the only voice of reason.
Everybody else is scared to death, and nobody will talk about the elephant in the room, basically.
Right.
Yeah. Just to give you an idea of how much of a voice of reason he is, like he's Ian Ogilvy's character, what's his name? Charles. It's kind of losing his shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's breaking up he wants to pull out the skeleton, breaking it up the coffin, which is above ground. And Peter Cushing's character, Dr. Pope, is trying to stop him, and he gives him the axe, right? And goes, you know what? You go ahead, dude. And he doesn't say that, but you get it, right? And he walks away, and it's your destiny, dude. Go for it. So yeah, he definitely gets the best of this film. In a lot of ways. Stephanie Beacham. Let's talk about her a little bit real quick.
Stephanie Beacham.
She doesn't do. Does she do a whole lot of genre films? Not really, but she
right
did
around
do.
there.
Right around that, she did. Dracula AD 1972, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Nightcombers.
Schizo. That was in 76. Schizo.
Oh, really? Schizo?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's done a couple. The rest of it's like, I remember her from Dynasty.
Oh yeah, you have to have a Seminoid.
I think for some reason I was thinking she might have done several Pete Walker movies, but I'm not sure here.
I mean, she
at least Schizo is.
Well, Pete Walker did Schizo.
What a great presence she had in this film and in Dracula AD 72 for that matter. She's one of the best things about that. Her and Carolyn Monroe, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wish he'd done, more British horror films. Oh well. Got crickets.
Well,
You got it?
What? No. All right, let's talk about Patrick McGee. Jeff, is there
He's
anything
in
about Patrick?
everything.
He is in everything. He did a lot of these films during this time. Oh, he was in The Skull. Do I remember that?
yeah, he was in The Skull.
He was in The Skull.
Clockwork Orange.
Oh, he was in Clockwork Orange.
Yeah. He's been in a lot of movies. Yeah.
Asylum.
Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah. Demon of the Mind.
Demon of the Mind. Yeah.
We're all reading the same thing. Yeah, it's awesome. I love him. I think he's great.
Did you guys even notice I was gone?
Who?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we know.
Oh, you were gone?
Oh, wow.
Welcome
My
back.
hands love me. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, the show, kind of
Must go on.
went off of the
I
rails.
just figured the hands got you.
Yeah.
Ah.
That'd be great.
See, I told you.
Well, if I could animate something where they all came in at me and I just scream and disappear, and like Chad doesn't sleep for a week.
No, he doesn't sleep.
No.
All right. Who else? Do we have Ian Ogilvy? I'm glad you're back because I want you to talk about Ian Ogilvy for a while because you did the panel.
Yeah. I mean, here's a guy, when they said, would you like to moderate the panel? I'm like, sure. I mean, he's been in some cool stuff. And then I looked at what he'd been in. And I'm like, oh my God, I would have cried if I didn't get to moderate this panel. Your first movie is directed by, Michael Reeves. You make their next one is directed by Michael Reeves, starring Vincent Price. You're with Herbert Lom and Peter Cushing. And I mean, he had a really cool career. And was mentioned as possibly being the next James Bond. He was one of the actors that got thrown into that speculation. He ended up doing The Saint. He did a lot of cool things. And then a lot of Murder, She Wrote. I guess Angela Lansbury loved him because at least once a year he played a new character on Murder, She Wrote. And, career cooled down a little bit as he got older, as things often do. And now he's reached that age where he is like, if you had to cast a movie with like a retired British mobster, he's the man. He's just got that look and is a severely entertaining fellow. I mean, just really has lots of stories, is very down to earth, humble about it and everything, but justifiably proud of the work he's done. And good guy, definitely worth, if you go to a convention and he's there, I guess he does the convention circuits. He's got a lot more to bring to the table than a lot of the folks who go there. They're all fun in their own way, but he was definitely a great person to listen to. Had a good time with him.
Yeah. Now, as far as this being an Amicus film, there's a couple of interesting things. One, it's not an anthology or a portmanteau film. It's a straight up one story. It's also set in the past, as we said, 1795, which I didn't really realize this, but most of Amicus films are set closer to the present.
Yeah. They felt like they Gothic, so I think that's what makes them feel like they took place in the past, but they're more recent.
But so that's kind of interesting. It's one of the few ones that do that, and so this one feels more like a Hammer film than others. Yeah. In that respect, because Hammer, they tend to it's the opposite with them, right? They're almost always in the past, and very few of them are in the present. Although, if you really look, they did a lot. They're not the well-known ones, right? You remember the Draculas and whatnot. And then when they did bring them into the present, maybe come on, 1972.
But they did have the good sense to have Stephanie Beacham and Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee when they brought them into the present,
and Carolyn Monroe.
And Carolyn, that forgives a lot of sins.
Forget that.
Oh yeah.
Don't forget
more blood all over. Yeah. We got to do that. Have we done that? If we haven't, we got to do it. We got to do Satanic Rites as well.
Right.
Yeah. We got to get those in. Well, we got to leave some Peter Cushing films for the future. This is. Would you say this is one? Well, you didn't even realize this was a Peter Cushing film. So this isn't high on his list of films that people can, think of when they think of Peter Cushing, is it?
No, not really, because his character doesn't have a whole lot to do in the story. He shows up halfway through and helps get us to the ending. And like Jeff was saying, he's just a great presence. I just like the little bit where when he first gets there and he's speaking to the maid, and she's like, you're not going to cut her, are you? And he comes across as like just a really smart but gentle man who doesn't feel obligated to show everyone how smart he is. He speaks to a maid, and in those days, a man of his stature probably didn't have to say 2 words to a maid, but that's the way he is. Peter Cushing plays Peter Cushing. Unless he's playing a bad guy, you always had the feeling with Peter Cushing that he was able to portray kindness because he was a genuinely kind man. Who is a bad word to say about Peter Cushing? Nobody.
Right. No one.
If they do, I don't want to hear
it. What about the effects? I got to throw this one at Stewie. Sorry. Okay, so crawling hands can look goofy as you know what, and this one looks like
as far as I'll give it this much credit. As far as crawling hands go, this was one of the better ones.
Oh yeah, okay.
I don't know, even though sometimes it was left, sometimes it was right. They can have a tendency, and Bill can back me up on this. They can have a tendency to look stupid. Yeah.
Yes.
This one to me was scared the hell out of me because it looked a little more realistic than you normally see in a severed hand that's alive. So it was really good. Even the other effects of the eyes gouged out of Silas and everything were pretty good for an Amicus film. Were pretty good effects
and for the time,
and makeup effects, for the time. But the hand, I thought was one of the better severed hand effects I've ever been witness to have the shit scared out of me.
Yeah.
So
and coming out of the picture was a pretty
that
good.
was cool. That was a good jump scare. I mean, the one where it's clearly a mechanical hand.
Yeah, clearly.
And I'm one. Yeah, but as mechanical hands go, I've seen way worse. But I feel like, have we seen it before? Amicus was in Asylum. We had where the guy cuts his wife up. Wasn't there a severed hand there?
A hand in there. Yeah. Well, it's an arm. I think it's an entire arm.
The whole
it's
arm.
It's a whole arm.
Yeah.
Okay, and there was Tales from the Crypt. There was a shot there where I remember, at least from the last time I remember seeing it, where when the guy is embalmed and the wife starts hitting him with a sword, that there's a
there is a hand. It's on his chest.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's
I'd have
the
to
same
take a look
hand.
and see. I don't know. How many times do you have to? I mean, if you got a mechanical hand, if I had a working mechanical hand, I'd work a severed hand to every script I ever wrote to the end of the time.
Could this be the same mechanical hand they used for Dr. Terror's House of Horror?
Maybe.
Could be. Why not? It's Amicus.
Why not?
I mean,
because it was the same kind of
yeah,
crazy emotion to it.
And it's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty good. I've seen some mechanical severed hands that look, very, very mechanical. This one, it was limited in movement, but they didn't dwell on it longer than they absolutely had to. Although Chad would probably disagree that they dwelled on it for any amount of time is more than they had to.
Forever.
And a lot of times it was like, over exposed onto it, so you could see it that it was like a ghostly hand. So gave it a little bit more leeway. So yeah, they didn't linger on, like you said. Yeah, I don't know what else we can say about this movie. So I think maybe we should wrap this up. give our final thoughts and recommendation, and let's do it. Let's pick a favorite scene. I want to hear what you guys like. I got to start off with Stewie in this case.
Why is it always me?
I want to see if you pick a severed hand scene or not. I don't think you will. But go ahead, wrap it up, sir.
Surprisingly enough, my favorite scene was the scene that I mentioned earlier. The whole reveal of the baby, it was sort of disturbing, but at the same time touching. At the same time, because I think Peter Cushing's character realized the weight of the whole situation and everything that was going on, and that's what moved him to bring that tear to his eye and everything. And where she rejected the baby at first, and then accepted it.
Mhm.
You know, that was a great scene. I thought, and it was my favorite scene of the movie. It had that's the one that had all the emotion in it, and the horror. It had the horror of the realization of who the baby was, and all that, and the emotion that Peter Cushing brought to it. It was my favorite scene, I think.
Yeah, and that scene does play out like the end of a short from Tales from
Yeah,
the Crypt, right?
yeah, it does. Yeah.
At the end.
Mhm.
All right, Bill Mulligan, sir. Let's wrap this up and give a favorite scene.
I think I just have to agree with Chad. I think that scene kind of tied everything up in a nice little bow and gave a good payoff to what was kind of a slow burn of a movie. It's kids. I like Peter. I have a soft spot for babies. So knowing where it was going, I mean, you knew as soon as they even start tugging on the arm thing, you're like, oh, geez, am I going to see a baby stump here? And sure enough, you do. It's like,
you did.
So.
Baby stump.
And again, I find the message somewhat disturbing, the whole idea. But they zoom down to the Bible, and there it is. You screw up bad enough, and not only do you get punished, but your kids get punished, and your grandchildren get punished. But I've just never liked that concept. I've never liked that idea in reality or fiction. It just seems completely unjust. As bad, when someone does a bad thing, suffer. Herbert Lom. The tortures of hell, great, but apparently he died in his sleep, I guess. And actually, and the weirdest thing about this movie, the idea that he apparently felt bad about what he did, as well he should, and tried to make up for it by giving the guy the land to live on. Didn't really seem to me like a guy who would have any doubts in his later life about all the evil that he had done, but that's the story. So I don't know. It left me unsatisfied. But yeah, the scene with the baby, Stephanie Beacham, is awesome, and Peter Cushing is Peter Cushing. So that to me was the best scene.
All right. Oh, Jeff Mohr, sir. Wrap it up and give us your favorite scene.
Come on, Hando guy.
I like this a lot more than you guys did. I think.
I think so.
Just
right.
I wish I could tell you why. the woodsman in his makeup without the hand, that was I thought that was pretty good. That was good makeup. He looked freaky, and Peter Cushing and Herbert Lom was despicable, and Stephanie Beacham. It's all good stuff. Yeah, I kind of joked about him running around on the stairs, but I did like that shot where they could follow the guy down the hallway and down the stairs, because it was like this, almost like a balcony around an atrium with a catwalk across the middle.
Yeah.
So the camera could move and keep somebody in focus while they were running down the stairs and out onto the floor. Favorite scene. I don't want to pick the same one. That really is my favorite scene, but I guess the Herbert Lom's defiling of the young bride, I thought was disturbing, and the subsequent
lopping,
dehanding, yeah.
Dehandification is the proper term there.
Dehandification.
The dehandification.
I was going dismemberment. The dismemberment. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, that's what the fancy folks call it. Yeah.
Not that member.
Not that member. Huh? That member is still intact for whatever reason. It's perfectly fine. I don't think anybody's going to, call it one of their favorite horror films of the 70s, but they're not going to. I don't know if people are going to despise it or wish they hadn't seen it. It's adequate. It's serviceable. It does the job. It does feel a little long. It does feel like it would have been better as a maybe shortened up for an anthology, but at the same time, it's got great character actors, and Stephanie Beacham ends up playing a good crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
She kind of loses it in the last third of the film, and there's a part where she starts cackling, and this girl's nuts.
You can see her feelings and everything.
Yeah.
Nice dental work for back then. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, you got, they were rich enough. It was, yeah, I mean, it's perfectly fine. My favorite scene is when the maid was trying to get the book up the stairs. I just thought, she wasn't running. She was like, no, I can get to the steps.
Mm-hmm.
She kept trying until, it just didn't work out for her. So good for her. She was
Good work ethic.
Yeah. Don't be afraid. You can do it. It was fine. It was fine. I mean, what can you say? I mean, that was. There's other things you could do. The Patrick McGee death is fun. Because it has Peter Cushing in it, and he's like, "What?" He's trying to figure out what's going on, and because he literally dies while his back is turned.
Yeah,
right? And there's pretty good, great scares with like you said, the picture, the hand coming out of the picture, the anytime Google Eyes is outside the window. Trying to
we deal so much with movies that are either great or terrible that when we get a movie that's, like you say,
middle of the road,
it's adequate, it's okay. There's nothing really bad about it, but there's nothing particularly great about it. Although, if it appeals to you, it could be great. Every film is somebody's favorite film. But it's hard to talk about those ones that are somewhere. They're definitely not terrible, but they're not.
I mean, the movie you call this movie slow paced, but it kind of isn't. I mean, it has it has the moments, as far as pacing out the scares, it's pretty much formula, right? It's like 5 minutes scare, 10 minutes scare, 5 minutes scare, 10 minutes scare, right? Until you get up to the end, and then it's rolling pretty good for 15, 20 minutes, and then you get the ending. So maybe that's also kind of its flaws, that it's a little bit formula, but that's what Amicus did, right? Amicus was, kind of survived on that for a decade or two.
There's not a lot of twists and turns. It's basically things keep happening until we finally get an explanation, which Ian could have given us at any point in the film, but decided let's kill a few more maids, until
2 or 3 people could have, and they just didn't.
She fell down the stairs.
Everyone's falling down the stairs. What's going on around here?
Hey, also, it does have one thing that every Amicus film has to have: somebody named Maitland who comes to a bad end.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Who's the Maitland in this one?
I can't get the word flowing in front of me, but there one of the guy Maitland. I got to think that
the lawyer guy, the lawyer
guy is Maitland.
Yeah.
Oh, he is. Oh man.
Oh,
there must have been. I'm thinking whoever the producer there must have been little Billy Maitland in school must have bullied him mercilessly, and he's like, one day I'll get even, and he became a film producer, and
that's the thing, right? All right. Well, if you've stuck with us for nearly an hour, we're talking about this movie that is not much longer than our discussion. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoy other Decades of Horror 70 shows that are out there as well. Hey, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the like button, hit the dislike button. I don't care either way. Just let us know. Hit the bell so you can get notified later, and leave us some comments. Hand of God is trying to figure out where to point.
That's right. The hand of God doesn't know where to point to the like button.
But thank you for sticking around and enjoying the discussion. Do we know what's next, or is it still a mystery?
Oh.
We do.
We do know.
We do.
Yeah.
I chose. That's my pick. Equinox.
Whoa.
Yes!
That's interesting. Because that could both be a
groaner or a gay.
It could be a classic.
Listeners are going to be going, oh no, or like Bill did.
No.
I love Equinox.
There's like an issue of when that movie actually.
Right. It could also.
It is. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, it could have been a classic here, but we got two on here.
That movie it has a Criterion collection. So
Yes, which is amazing.
which
Dennis
is
Muren and all
Uh-huh.
those guys. Wow,
Hey.
it's gonna,
Herb.
Yeah.
Dead before there was Evil Dead.
yeah.
yeah.
Herb, Frank Bonner, I guess. From
I love Equinox. That
All right.
movie. That's one of those movies that inspired me to
Fritz
become a
Lieber.
filmmaker.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
but especially when I found out how it was made by a bunch of people who just said, "Let's make a movie." I'm like, "Damn, I can do that."
This is going to be an interesting discussion next week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
It
All
is
right.
available to stream on HBO Max right now,
Oh.
and I think we all have that, so that's why another reason
Yeah.
why I haven't picked it.
Yep.
Taste it.
Well, I have the Criterion.
Ooh.
I do.
It was-
too.
Fancy.
It was a gift. So
I gifted it to myself.
did you? There you go. All right. Bill Mulligan and Jeff Mohr, and of course the wonderful Chad Hunt, sir. Yes. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Awesome.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
man.
Thank you.
Let's say
Good
goodnight.
pick.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Gruesome Magazine.